Testing, testing, 5-4. Can you hear me? Yeah, I know you can. How's it going, everybody? Happy fucking New Year's. It is Wine Wednesdays, aka your new fucking religion. I am Wineboxpapi. How you guys doing today? That's super good. Okay, I'm doing great. It is currently, I can totally read analog, 4:20. Blaze it. Today, you read that title right. I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. It's January 9th at the time of recording. A little late to start making your goals. Actually, might be perfect time. Might be the perfect time. You might just be getting into it right now. But before we get into it, really quickly, some things I like to do for this is if you guys want to send in a question, I can answer it and give advice to it really quickly, because I used to have a podcast called Poppy Code where I would answer questions you guys give in that you need advice for, and I would answer them. But now I want to answer them in the beginning of this. Anything you need advice for, you can ask me. You can comment down below. You can DM me. You can email me. My email is in the description. Everything's in the description. But we have no questions thus far, so we're not going to. We're just going to go right into what we're supposed to be talking about today, which is the New Year's resolution goals. But if you want to sponsor this, by the way, you can. You can become a sponsor of this if you want to go to patreon.com/wineboxpapi or go to the original YouTube channel of Wineboxpapi, youtube.com/wineboxpapi, and become a member there. There's links in description if you want to help support this shit. Perfect. So basically, let's go over my New Year's resolutions goals. Like I do think that I usually hit them most of the time, if not every single time, since dropping out since dropping out of college and like having to pretty much do my own thing and be my own person who keeps me in check. Recently, I've just been hitting them pretty much all the time. So let's start off with like last year's ones and how I went about that. So let's go through, actually, let's talk about the year before that really quickly, because I would say that was probably the most important one. Last year was like just doing more of the same, pretty much. So let's say, so last year was 2018, let's do 2017. So it was 2017, I wanted to shave my head and start doing YouTube. Oh boy, two very, very scary things, okay? So the shaving the head was very easy, right? Because all you do is shave the head, even though because like, the story's going to tell you can kind of use in other aspects of your life, hopefully. So my mom, right, was like, do not do it. Don't shave your head. That's going to ruin it. You're going to look terrible bald, which isn't true. I look absolutely fucking fantastic. But she was very, very against it, right? People aren't really cool with change, right? Like, why be so drastic? Why not just do it, you know, a little bit here and there? I was like, nah, I just want it gone, right? Like, that's just like a goal of mine. I was I'm super metro, which is super obvious, but whenever the window would be open, it would annoy me that my hair would be moving. It'd always have to be like perfect and stuff like that. So it's not good. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good look having to always fix. It was very annoying. You know, don't listen to people, right? Like if you have a goal that you want to do, like that's pretty much what I'm telling you. Like I get that it's just my mom telling me to like, oh, don't shave your head, and me being like, fuck you, mom, and shaving my head anyway, right? But here's a big thing. It's simple things like that. Like I made a video on like January 9th for Facebook. That was my first ever video telling people about my goals really quick, about how one of my goals was to shave my head. And if I didn't shave my head, I think that was my first video ever, was talking about why I shaved my head, why I want to start a YouTube channel. And my first YouTube video on my first channel was a New Year's resolution goals, I believe. So, I was super nervous during my first video. I was shaking like crazy. It was hilarious. Like shaking from like actual nervousness, like how I am with stand-up, which is super sad. I'll get into that a little bit as well. So I was telling them, you know, if I don't shave my head or start this YouTube channel, what's that telling my future self who wants to do something that he's scared of doing? Like what? It's okay to just not do it? Like, oh, all right. Oh, you're scared to do it? Oh, okay. Yeah, don't do it. Yeah. Oh, it's one of your biggest goals of the year, because those are really, really important. I do think there is this like freeing feeling of having a new year. It's very weird. And I don't really know how to pinpoint it. You know what I'm saying? Like this year felt very good and very relieving and very much needed. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. They feel this like new sense of newness, right? Like I always try and tell people to start their New Year's resolutions a month early. I tried. I totally just couldn't. I just had to take like the last week off. I just couldn't do it. But like, if somebody's telling you like, hey man, that's a stupid goal, dude, you're not. Like, if you're like, hey man, I want to start a YouTube channel. Hey man, I want to be a comedian. Hey, I want to start this podcast. I want to write this book. I want to start finding this new career. I want to go to college. Anything, literally anything that pops in your mind that you pick. It could be anything. It could be huge. It could be small. It could be It can't be like winning the lottery. Do something realistic that you can control, right? Obviously, do something you can control. That's how you should. Obviously, I'm not a professional at picking goals, but I feel like I'm pretty good at them. So how did I stick with, how did I build up the courage? First of all, I have no idea, okay? To me, it's just kind of like Nike's thing of saying just do it is really, really the best way to do it. Because right now I'm doing stand-up, and I just did it for technically the second time. I did it a long time ago, but like, let's just say my debut was Sunday, right? Did bad. I forgot everything because I was nervous and shit, which is totally fine, right? It doesn't matter at all whatsoever. But like, to go up there, this is how I hope it can work for you guys, and this is how I do it. I go, you have to. There's no fucking choice, Mark, okay? You're going up on that stage no matter what. Really? Okay, it was even better because I had to pay. It was only $5, so I didn't really have to go. $5 doesn't fucking matter to me. But I'm like, you're going. You're doing it no matter what. Even if you're not ready, you're getting up on that goddamn stage, boy. Because you have to. That is your New Year's resolution. You have to do it. It is a matter of life or death for you, man. You got to do it. So I did it. No matter what. Did terrible. You know what I did? Went up the day after the next. So I went up Sunday. I went up Tuesday. Just went up yesterday. It was more of a workshop. There's not a lot of people at open mics anyway. So it's kind of similar. Yeah. You just got to do these things, you know. And I hate when people give that advice, because that advice is obviously way easier said than done. Because there's obviously a lot of mental barriers holding you back prior to just doing something. So if it was just simple as just doing it, oh, I would just fucking do it then, pal. I know. Okay, let's work through this with each other really quickly. Okay, I think the goal should be big. Okay, I do. Let's say I don't have like a big goal nowadays. So when I say big, it's kind of broad, right? Like, I want to be consistently doing stand-up. I just want to do it as much as possible, right? As much as I can. Like, that's my goal, is to just mainly focus. I'm very lucky that I don't have like a 9-to-5 that I have to, like, I focus on YouTube, but that can be put on the back burner, right? Focusing more on the podcast, because like I'm kind of like in the groove now. I don't have to be like, I need to focus on this. I can do it pretty much without thinking. And adding on things becomes difficult. That's what I want to, kind of why I'm telling you guys this part, is where don't add on a huge burden, right? Like, look at the thing, what you want to do, okay, and start off slowly with it, right? Like, let's just start this off with, let's say you want to do stand-up, okay? Let's not say, and it could be with anything. You want to be a book writer. It doesn't have to just be if you I'm trying to do the same thing as me. So with stand-up, let's say you want to do stand-up as your New Year's resolution goal. However, you have not prepared anything prior to January 1st, and you want to go up as soon as possible. Let's not throw you on stage right away. You can if you'd like to, but you can prepare a little bit first. You can start studying. You can start watching people, looking things up, researching what it's like to go up for the first time, what they expect of you, what it's like. Research as much as possible, and you should do that prior to doing anything, you know? Let's get a good idea for it. Do your due diligence before jumping into something. Knowledge yourself up, prepare yourself, and then know when it's time to stop learning. Okay? Because that's a huge thing. Okay? Because I dropped out of college to start learning, right? Which sounds really dumb. To start pursuing things that I wanted to do, that I think I could excel in, because I didn't think college was very valuable to me whatsoever, which I think college is a failure for a lot of people, and for me especially. Sorry if I move this thing around too much. I'm just trying to like get the perfect distance for you guys. And so I'm telling you that because, like, if you're going to be looking into something and researching something, it's going to be fun, right? It's going to be exciting. And then you're not going to know when to implement it. You're not going to know when you're ready. You're going to feel never ready, which is true. You're never going to be ready, ever. Right? Nobody can teach you enough to where you are prepared to do it professionally, right? There's no person who can just be taught something so well that they are better than a person who has practiced at it for years, right? There's no fucking way. So you need to know what you're getting into. It could be kickboxing, lifting, running, anything. You know, do your knowledge, or get knowledge. Learn what you're getting into, learn the basics. Maybe you can look into some of the higher stuff up as well if you'd like to and shit. Get excited about it, get a base knowledge, and then throw yourself into it, because you learn by doing much fucking quicker than reading. Just know when to stop, okay? And a really big book that you guys should read, not big book, a really important book that you guys should read is definitely going to be The Dip by Seth Godin. Now, what The Dip explains is when most people stop doing things after a new venture about 3 months in. So if you go to the gym, you'll notice that it's absolutely fucking packed right now, right? It is packed to the gills with new people, new fat people. And most of them are going to be gone, I don't know, March. That's when it gets super hard to do things, is about 3 months into them. You know, you're seeing a lot of, I said this about the last episode, I think, where it's super hard to continue doing something. It's super easy to get into it because it's super fun, and you're seeing all of these changes right away, right? Like if you're a beginner lifter, for instance, you're going to be seeing a loss of fat and an increase in muscle instantly. And that's going to be super exciting, but eventually it's going to slow down. That's the same thing with starting anything, any type of new career or goal you have for this year would be, it's super fun in the beginning for the first 3 months. And then after the first 3 months is over, well, that's when it's going to be getting difficult. You're going to have to start refining these little minute things that you're failing on in that new venture, right? So when people start things, it's kind of like a pendulum, however you fucking pronounce this, or whatever that is, right? So you're trying to overcorrect. You know, like when somebody's driving a car and it starts fishtailing and they're overcompensating back and forth, right? And they're trying to get it to straighten back out. So when you start a new venture, you're overcompensating, swinging way too much on both sides. And then you learn. You go, oh, I shouldn't go that far over. I shouldn't go this far over. And then eventually you're going to have to be making these tiny little minute corrections. And that's when it gets really fucking boring. Okay, you're going to need to read that. I feel like, so I've had probably dozens of people message me about the book, and they have picked it up. And I hope you are. I feel like we're getting, what, like 1,200 here? I just want as many people as possible to pick it up. It's a very short read. You could read. Sorry, headphones came out. How embarrassing. Even though I could totally talk with them out, I do want to hear. Read in one sitting, man. Get that shit over with. You should probably read, too. Really important. I highly suggest putting that into your repertoire of things you're going to be doing this year. Just do it for 10 to 25 minutes. Do it when you're taking a shit. Okay? So learn how to get through that. Learn how to get through those difficult parts 3 months in. So right now I'm trying to think about how to go about telling you to be different when it comes to these New Year's resolution goals, right? So what I'm trying to tread lightly here, because if I tell you to do something and be different than everybody else and not quit like everybody else does, it comes into this wrong area of thinking that you should never quit if it's a new venture that you start. And I think quitting is super, super important, right? If you start something and you don't like it, or it's not working for you, or it's not progressing you towards any goal you have in the next 5 to 10 years, I would say end that shit as quickly as possible. Like, for example, I'm pretty good at this when it comes to knowing when to quit something and when I shouldn't, or when I should switch lanes on what I'm doing, or change it up a little bit, right? Because there's a little bit of a difference knowing when you should completely quit something and leave it alone, or switch up what you're doing, right? Like with YouTube, the first channel I had, I quit that first channel, but then I switched it up for the second one. So I didn't quit YouTube entirely. I just changed lanes with it. A few things that I completely quit were college and fashion school. Now, I think I've used in multiple videos before the analogy of going to the store, right? Let's use that analogy really, really quickly once again. So let's say you're going to a store 20 minutes away, okay? Or 40 minutes away. And you drive 20 minutes and you're like, oh shit, that store is closed. Are you going to go to that store just because you started going already? No. That shit's fucking closed, dog. Go home, right? And there's a lot of things that are going to be like that. Just because you put in the time does not mean you have to finish it, right? For instance, with school, okay? School costs money. So there's two costs to going to school, which would be time and money. People forget about the time one quite a bit. That's pretty goddamn important, okay? Money, you can always get. Not time. Trust me. So I had to make a decision in that bitch. So it was spend another probably $50,000 and 2 years to get a degree in business, or drop out and have no idea what I'm going to do, but not spend another $50,000 in 2 years. And I think I would have graduated, in December of this year, actually. So that seems like a pretty good decision. So yeah, I usually use that as a good way to look at things, like if you should try them or not. Base it off of how expensive college is and how many people go to that shit. If what you want to do costs less than a book, you should probably try it. And there's a difference between not liking something and it not working out for you, and then you stopping doing it, like quitting, and like kind of failing at it in the beginning and being uncomfortable. There's a huge difference, right? Don't just stop something because you're not naturally skilled at it in the beginning, right? Outworking somebody is way more important than natural born skill. Outworking people will always win. But to me, it's like way more. It's way more noticeable. I feel like I'm not sure if like everybody feels that way or can notice it right away when they want to do something or want to quit something right away, right? Like with fashion school, instantly with it. I think it only took like a couple weeks. It was only once a week class, but it was like 4 hours long, right? It wasn't expensive, but that's where the time came in, was the 4 hours. Right then, I was focusing on YouTube, and that I had to make a decision. Okay, picked YouTube, obviously, right? And I just woke up one day when it was time to go to class, and I was like, I hate this shit. I don't even want to drive the less than 30 minutes to go there for 4 hours because it sucks, because it's boring, right? A lot of things aren't like what you expect they're going to be, right? Especially, I mean, a lot of things are because like I'm a fan of fashion, right? And a lot of people say to not do things you are a fan of, right? Like I was a fan of video games, and I streamed, and I'm like, now I can't even like touch my PC that I'm looking at right now. I can't even touch that shit. Because of that. I got to wait like a year. And I just got back into clothes after a year or so of that school, right? After, I think it was about, yeah. Actually, I don't remember when I took that class. But you get it. But just getting back into it. Because, like, I don't know. I would be wary about that as well. Luckily, I'm not a fan of, like, comedy or anything at all. Never have been, really. I'm just funny. But some other tips with after finding what you want to do is, like, with sticking with it, right? So I would say don't make too many huge changes right away in the beginning of the year, right? I would slowly add them on. It takes about, I don't know, like anywhere between 64 to like 200 days or something like that. I would say look it up. To form a habit, I would bet on the longer side, probably, to form a habit, right? Habits are very, very important. Once they become a habit, you don't even have to think about them. But once you were trying to start a habit, it becomes very difficult and you have to focus on them. So pretty much what I try and do currently right now is I'm just building habits. It's the 9th of January, right? I'm just building these habits to hopefully, you know, because like you want to do something every day that is going to make you better. Like this, that seems super generic, but do something today that's better for tomorrow. Like even if it's one thing, right? Because like a lot of you listening are going to have jobs and stuff, so you're not going to have all this time that you can just sit there and hopefully be thinking and focusing about what you want to do, right? A lot of people do not have that luxury. So what you're going to have to do is when you have these times, you have to do it. You have to do this one thing to make you go a little bit farther tomorrow for what you want to do, right? Like what's that one thing that when you get home or when you're on your lunch break, what can you do? Also get off your fucking phone on lunch break. Do something different. Like what can you do? Like back what I would always do is when I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do in life, I would just read on break. All the time, right? Like we'd get like an hour break for lunch, so that's an hour of reading, man. That's pretty fucking good, dude. And it's not like Facebook and shit like that's fun, or the people you work with are fun to talk to. They suck, you know it. Read a fucking book. Or work on whatever you want, man. Work on something, do something, learn about it, do your due diligence, like I said. And with the forming of the habits, it's kind of a must, right? Like with the forming of the habits, like let's say this is going to be the easiest. A lot of people's goals is to lose weight. Most people probably should. Everybody could lose fucking 10 pounds. If you're starting out, and like I talked about it in my last fitness one, but this is like for everything, right? If you're trying to put a lot on your plate, you're going to burn yourself out. And you're not going to be able to keep up with all these things. There's way too many new things at once. I would make them feel natural, right? Until you don't have to think about doing them anymore. Like until you don't have to think about going to the gym or you don't have to think about having that healthy breakfast, right? Because here's the thing with changing up things for the better or creating habits and changing things, they cost willpower, right? And to me, and I think a lot of other people, willpower is a finite resource, right? It's kind of like a battery. I would say it's more of a muscle or a battery that can be worked out, right? You have a finite amount of it, but you can strengthen it, right? This is how I kind of look at it. So what's a good example here? If you are at work all day for 8 hours, okay, and you're saying no to all of these fattening foods at lunch, right? Everybody's like, hey, I brought in coffee cake. Happy New Year. And you're like, fuck. I don't, it's New Year, man. I don't want to do this shit, man. And then you say no. You're like, I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy. I did it. And you leave. You go home, and you don't even notice that you just ate 2 donuts because your willpower is completely drained, man. You need to strengthen that shit. Get yourself away from that. If you need to, take some of the stuff out of the house. And don't just eat all of it. Don't just eat all that shit. You're going to regret it. Let's see. A lot of it's going to be fitness. So, like, a couple of things I want to talk about for fitness really quick. And a lot of it can be, like I'm saying, for all of it, is like it can go for other things as well. Like, let's say with diet or anything, you fall off, right? Let's say you want to start reading every day, you want to start drawing every day, but you fall off, you miss a day. It's weird. With fitness, it's a little bit more like, well, I messed up today. Might as well mess up my entire fucking life. Or like if you have a goal of reading or drawing every day and you miss one day, you're not going to be like, well, guess I'm never going to fucking do it again. But a lot of things with fitness is like, oh, I just guess I'm just going to eat like shit because everybody hates it, right? Most people fucking hate what they're doing and stuff in the gym. Big things are just to make them habits. Make it more of all of these things that you're adding into your life. Make them lifestyle changes, right? You don't want to a year from now. You want to be a different person. You want to have new goals a year from now. You don't want to have to be trying to work on those new things a year from now. You're gonna want them to be habits because actively trying to do these things and then keep piling up more things, you're gonna burn out and go back to old habits, right? Change is hard, but change is good. People adapt very easily. Now, I think also we're probably gonna close it down here, but like before also going into something, I would look up probabilities, right? I wouldn't expect a lot of things out of things. A lot of people try and do big things, right? Like a lot of you might be trying to start doing YouTube. Like me, I'm doing stand-up. And you have to know the statistical probability, right? You just know that like going into YouTube, I knew that it was like percentilely very unlikely. And it always is. Everybody has to know that. But even going into that, I was like, I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter, right? Who cares? Even if it is, at least you tried. It's better. It's just try, you know? I mean, a lot of people say that, and that's very, very genetic. It's like generic. It's like, it's better to try. At least you know you tried. Don't live with regret. But it's true, though. It's true, right? You want to be on your deathbed, man? You want to be like, I didn't do it? I don't think so. Like, I was just listening to a podcast on the way to a open mic, and what was some girl saying? She was saying there's, like, with this huge boom in stand-up, she's like, now a lot of my friends are very much regretting that they stopped back in the day. And so, keep that in mind. Come on, let's all do this shit together. It's very, very frightening. Come on, I went up on stage, man. I was so scared. I forgot everything. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about it if you guys want. But some people might log off or stop watching right here. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Appreciate you. So now, stand up. Let's see here. So that was the New Year's resolution, and I was gonna do it. There's this place that's I've checked out before a couple of times. Super nice. Or actually, I only checked it out I think once. Went there, forgot everything instantly as soon as I stood up there. It was awesome. You learn a lot of things instantly when you get up there, right? First, you can't see people if you're like at an actual place. Like I was up on stage and shit. They had these bright lights in your face. You can't see anybody. Couldn't see anybody in the crowd. I was like, guys, I can't see you. Did you know that? I forgot everything, but you can bring your notes up there. And it's an open mic, right? Like you're not doing a show. People didn't pay to fucking see you, so it doesn't matter. But, you know, like I said with the I'm just going to look at it like the fishtailing, right, with a car and overcompensating for what you're doing is, you know, oh, I did that wrong. Let's just correct and fishtail back and forth till we hopefully get it right. The goals for this year would just be, you know, focus. It's just focusing on the three main things, right? Well, it's really just fitness and comedy this year. That's all I care about pretty much because everything's just like, I just do it, you know? I do it without using a lot of willpower to do a YouTube video, right? Like today, I don't have to force myself to do it. It's just natural habit now. And that's what I would say to do. And try and do that. Build habits. Also, look up the dip. No, buy the dip. Don't look it up. Go fucking buy that shit. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can check this out everywhere if you want on Spotify, iTunes, other places and shit. You can check it out on my Snapchat. I usually tell you guys exactly where you guys can find it. And if you want to sponsor this shit, links in description. It means the world. Thank you guys so much. Catch you guys next week. And don't forget to hit that fucking subscribe button.